Bit like YouTube, welcome back to another episode. Okay, so it's nearly 2 weeks of the previous treatment. I'm just going to thinking about doing the water change and getting all the rock out, then putting in PVC pipe. And the reason for that is the purple tongue is starting to show some signs of ick. However, the Regal Angel, he's kind of been getting beat up a little bit by this purple tongue. He's kind of slashing him a bit with his tail, and he's been really aggressive, and he's been really aggressive towards the clown tongue as well. So trying to figure out what I'm going to do about this. In all fairness, when I added the Regal Angel, I should never have added this purple tongue. I should have put him in a separate tank by himself. But hey, we'll live and learn. So I've got a couple of options. The first option is I set up the hexagon tank and just add some of the rockets in here into that with an air stone and put the tongue in there. The other option is I've got some egg crate, and I'm thinking that I'll use the egg crate, create like a barrier, have the purple tongue on one side and then the rest of the crew on the other, and they should all get peace then. So that's what I'm going to try, I think, because it's getting late, it's nearly midnight, I've got to get up for work in the morning. So I just think, there you can see it there. He's not going to do it because I'm filming, but he is knocking the bells out of that Regal Angel, and I'm just not going to have that at all. The clownfish, these two guys are doing fantastic, no problems, and there is no signs of any disease whatsoever. However, these will be getting 100% water change, and I'll be adding copper. So I've set up this hexagon tank, just added that in there, but I am going to go with the egg crate instead. So this is all the egg crate I've got, and unfortunately it's not tall enough, so I'm going to have to lower the water level, otherwise the tongue will just swim over the top with it. And it's not exactly a tight fit, so I'm going to have to use magnets. So I've used these magnets. There's the purple tongue, he's on one side, and all the other fish are on the other. Now, they're flipping algae off a clip, blowing about everywhere but so it is pretty secure. I think this will keep him there, and it will give the other fish a bit of peace.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
So I come down this morning, put the lights on, and this is what I've found. Absolutely shocked and panicking. I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? So I've removed the egg crate, I've took that out. So far there's 2 fish down, and the rest of them are looking in really bad shape. I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on. So in order to figure it out, let's rewind. So what happened? Well, it kind of highlighted a major fault with my system, and the fact that the whole system relies on this one nozzle to hit the surface to keep the oxygen in the aquarium. Now, with the egg crate being lowered, being too low, the water level being lowered, and that nozzle being pushed down, there was very little surface agitation, if any, and as a result, the poor fish just suffocated. Hindsight, I wish to God I just put the purple tongue in this hexagon tank, but can't I go back? I've just got to accept what I did and move on. I can't express how annoyed I am about it. The lucky thing is I didn't lose all the fish, just lost the 2 regals, which totally sucks. Like I said, I'm really annoyed with myself about it. Such a stupid bloody thing. But anyway, can't change it, it's done, it's happened. But before I went to work, I filled the tank back up, I chucked an air stone in here, and I got the power head hitting the surface. So I had heaps of oxygen getting pumped straight into there, which as a result ended up saving these guys' lives. There is the power head that I've got on the bottom on the left. That's an absolute waste of bloody time, so that's going to be getting taken out. And I'm going to purchase a wee nano wave maker that I can have on the opposite side. Get rid of that power head, which is a waste of time. It's a return pump that I'm using. And I'll have that shooting on the surface, so at least if the main thingy breaks, or like an idiot I push it down, which that's never going to happen, at least there's always oxygen. The clownfish are doing fantastic, although their tank's covered in spillages because what a blooming mess I was making when I was panicking trying to get that tank put back right. So I'm going to add, like this sponge filter I've got in here, I'm also going to add one of them into the QT as well, just as another redundancy. I'm just not going to get caught out with that kind of scenario ever again. It is just not worth it, and honestly, I mean, some people will be like, oh, it's only a fish, but that's not the point, it's a living animal, and it was, I taken it into my care, and it was my job to give it an absolute wonderful, best life it could possibly get, and I failed, and I'm so pissed off about it, but I can only learn from my mistakes. Right, to learn from a mistake, first things first is I'm going to add this little Seache Voyager nano pump on the opposite side of the tank, shooting flow across the surface. So at least then we're not relying on one outlet to keep the whole tank alive. And then at some point I'll add a sponge filter with the air bubbles as well. Okay, so starting the copper treatment now. So obviously you did not add copper unless you've got a test kit. So I've got myself a new one because my other one was out of date. I've added the PVC pipes. I've got a heater in there just now just to kind of help with the temperature getting up for the water changes. This tank's not had the water change done yet because the diver's helmet's still in. Once the copper goes in, there'll be a skull, and that's just like a little visual cue for me to ken that there's copper in the system. But these guys are doing fantastic, no diseases or any problems at all. However, I'm still going to put them through the same treatment as these guys. So you may notice that there is a Regal tang in here. Now when I went to the LFS and picked up the extra wee nano pump that I've got on the top there, I noticed that he had another Regal, which was kind of lucky. It turns out somebody had moved away and the wife didn't want to carry on looking after the fish, so she's handed it in there and I've managed to pick it up. So that's nice that I've managed to get one of the fish back that I've lost. So he seems to be doing okay, although I did notice he had a wee white spot on him as well. However, there's copper in here now, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks this treatment will get rid of it. I'm also gradually lowering the salinity as well, so that should help a little. But yep, everybody seems to be doing much better than they were a few days ago. Well, a couple of days ago. This tank's now got the copper in it, as you can see the skull there. So like I said, a visual cue that there's copper in the systems. And I think I definitely need to get a wee air sponge filter on here just to help keep the water a bit clear. Although there is a wee bit of a bacterial bloom with all the messing about and all that I've done. And I did add a heap of bacteria just to kind of boost the system up a bit. But so far, everybody's doing good. And here's what I've done with this, is I've ripped this out because getting in behind there to clean the sponge was an absolute pain in the backside. It was really difficult. And because it was so difficult, I think that's the reason why I hardly ever did it, hardly ever cleaned it. And when I did manage to get it out, the amount of crap that's come from behind there is unreal. So I'm going to hate to get the wee hose. There'll be another wee water change sort of thing, get all this siphoned out and get the place cleaned up. But yep, I just used the Foxy epoxy frog plugs, glued them into the sides, and they just kind of pin the sponge right in that corner perfectly. So it's dead simple, just to rip it out, clean it, put it back in. So that's going to work way better than that half bucket that I had before. The only downside is the wee fella, the orchid dotty buck, he's not got his wee hidey hole that he can go in and out, but he still just kind of pushes his way behind the sponge, hangs about back there and pops back out now and again. So, but like I said, the rest of the fish are doing okay. I just wish I could honestly go back in time and just not even bother doing what I did. But anyway, we'll live and learn. So hopefully the next couple of weeks these guys will be ick free and in way better condition than they are just now. But everybody seems to be happy enough. Right, so Dead Man's Chess. The day for getting it shifted is getting ever closer. I'm kind of running out of time. Now, problem with EA Reef 900s is there's no room inside the cabinet for all your cables because it's just filled entirely with the sump. Now, I have got like a power strip in here, but the amount of plugs a reef tank uses is just ridiculous. So I've got to kind of come up with an idea that I can get as much of this onto one place using one plug, like one massive extension lead is what I'm kind of looking for. Right, I couldn't find anything that was going to be suitable for my requirements, so I've decided to do a little DIY job and build it what I'm wanting myself, since I can't buy it anywhere. And there was one place, but they were wanting like 280 quid for like a 16 plug extension socket thing, and I thought there's no blooming way I'm paying that. I'll just build something myself, save myself some money. So I've just got this bit of plywood, and I've just screwed in all the face plates. Now I haven't wired anything up yet, and I've just added a frame. Now what I'll do is I'll get some wire and I'll get it all wired up. Okay, so I've got the cable. I'm gonna get it all wired. Now, one thing I was thinking was I was just going to be using this for the temporary measure of getting Dead Man's Chess in the kitchen, and then just taking one power thingy supplying all the energy to these plugs. But having gone online, I've discovered that I can actually fit this in the water box cabinet. So I just need to cut it down to size so that it'll fit inside the cupboard. All my equipment can be plugged in, and then I can get another board for all the drivers and what have you, and it'll look pretty neat and tidy. So I finished off all the cabling, all the wiring, I've done all that, and I'm just taping off all the fronts of the plates and give it a coat of paint, and jobs are good in. Right, that's the switchboard completely finished, painted, and I just sealed around each socket just in case if there was any water did splash into it and nothing would get into the wiring. So just need to test, make sure everything's working fine. So yep, plan's working. So I think all of these sockets are right, got power, and hair dryer. Now that I need this. Perfect. So that's awesome, and that is going to save me one hell of a job, and I'm not going to have all that horrible extension leads and stuff like I did before. Now, if my measurements are correct, which I hope they are, this should fit into that spare cupboard. So there's the sump section, then there's an extra cupboard, which I didn't have on my EA Reef Pro 900. Pretty much in your cupboard space is just filled with the whole sump, and that really sucks in a dry place like so. Hence why I have all of that cables and everything at the side of the tank, which is a bit of an eyesore. So this little baby is definitely going to come in handy, and once this is in, I'll then build another one and I'll put all my controllers on it, and then that way I'll be able to just open the cupboard, put things onto feed mode or whatever, and you're not going to see any of this. So as nice as this looks, you're not going to get to see it anyway. But yep, serves its purpose and works well. So job's a good one. Thanks for watching. Until the next one, bye bye.